Okay, so good day everyone. So let's continue our topic under chapter 2. So let's now move to inverse Laplace transform. Okay, so if the Laplace transform of a function f of t is f of s, and if the Laplace transform therefore, or I mean in mathematical form, we have Laplace of f of t is equal to f of s, the value of f of t is called an inverse Laplace transform of f of s and can be written symbolically as f of t is simply equal to the inverse Laplace of f of s, or f of t is equal to inverse Laplace of f, where this denotation here or symbol here is called the inverse Laplace transformation operator. Okay? So kung dati, meron tayong f of t tapos nila-Laplace transform natin to have f of s, this time, you have this f of s Laplace transformed and then i-inverse Laplace transform natin siya to get this one. So parang pabaliktad lang yung gagawin natin, guys. Okay? So in summary, where n is equal to 1 up to infinity, we have the given f of s, its inverse Laplace is 1 or its given f of t is simply equal to 1. So kung i-recall ninyo, just like what we have dun sa previous topics natin na Laplace transformation, di ba ang meron tayo dun ay itong mga to. Ito yung mga meron tayo, this column here, ito, second column, at saka fourth column. Ito yung mga meron tayo nun, and then, kapag nilaplace natin tong mga to, ang result is itong mga first column and then second column. This time, baliktad na siya kasi inverse Laplace transformation na tayo. So we have given f of s na on the first column and third column. Tapos, except these numbers here, itong kino-consider ko lang na column. First, second, third, and fourth. So, dito, you have given f of s and then they have their corresponding inverse Laplace transform. So just like this one, we have 1 over s, its inverse Laplace transform is 1 or its f of t is 1. And given 1 over s minus a, we have e raised to at. And then given 1 over s raised to n, we have t raised to n minus 1 all over the quantity of n minus 1 factorial. Okay, and then for 1 over the quantity of s minus a raised to n, you have e raised to at times t raised to n minus 1 all over the quantity of n minus 1 factorial. Okay? So, yan. And we have more formulas here. You have, if you have 1 over s squared plus a squared, you have 1 over a sine 80. Pero kung a ang nasa taas, asan na yun? Hindi niya ata na-include dito. Hindi. Okay, pero kung halimbawa you have a over the s squared plus a squared, you have 1 over, you have simply sine 80. Okay, pero kapag meron kang 1 sa numerator, tapos the denominator is s squared plus a squared, you need to multiply 1 over a by sine 80. Okay, and so on. So you have these formulas, kung as much as possible, i-memorize nyo ang mga ito. Okay? So, madami siya, no? You have ln of 1 plus 1 over s is 1 minus e raised to negative t, and so on. Yan. So, meron tayo dito. Now, we have here examples wherein we were asked to determine the inverse Laplace transform of a different f of s. Okay? So, the first one is we have here f of s is equal to s squared minus 3s plus 4 over s cubed. Okay, so yan po yung ano natin, yan yung f of s natin. So kunin daw natin si f of t natin. Okay, or its inverse Laplace. This inverse Laplace here is simply f of t. Okay? So gagawin natin, the inverse Laplace of s squared minus 3s plus 4 over s cubed can be rewritten using this way. So applying a linearity property. Okay, or linearity theorem. So we have s squared. We have sa first term, we have the inverse Laplace of s squared over s cubed minus 3 times the inverse Laplace of s over s cubed plus 4 times the inverse Laplace of 1 over s cubed. So simplifying further, this one, this s squared over s cubed will now be equal to 1 over s. And this s over s cubed will now be equal to 1 over s squared. And 1 over s cubed remains the same. Okay? So, as you can see, we can now get the inverse Laplace transformation of this equation. Just like this 1 over s. We know, tingnan nyo sa formula, babalikan natin, the inverse Laplace of 1 over s is equal to 1. So, dapat, as you can see, the inverse Laplace of 1 over s now is simply equal to 1. Okay? Minus 3 times the inverse Laplace of this one. So, ano naman ang gagamitin nating formula dito? So, 1 over s squared yan. So, ito yon. Okay? That's 1 over s raised to n, where n is equal to 2. Okay? Where n is equal to 2. So, you have therefore t raised to 2 minus 1 all over the quantity of 2 minus 1 factorial. Okay? So, ito siya. Okay, you have t raised to 2 kasi n is equal to 2. N 2 minus 1 all over the quantity of 2 minus 1 factorial. Okay? Plus, we also have 4. Ito, s cube naman. So, same lang ito. At saka ito, magkaiba lang is yung n. In this case, your n is equal to 3. So, we have t raised to 3 minus 1 over 3 minus 1 factorial. So, simplifying further, you now have 1 minus 3 times t over 1 plus 4 times t squared over 2. So, you now have the final answer or the inverse Laplace transform of s squared minus 3s plus 4 over s cubed is now equal to 1 minus 3t plus 2t squared. Okay? So, yan siya guys. I-ano natin para pwede nyo yung screenshot. Okay, so, this is the solution for problem number 1 or example number 1. Okay? So, direct substitution lang. I-compare nyo lang tong mga to. Okay? Ayusin nyo lang and then i-compare nyo hanggang sa may makikita kang kamuka ng mga nandito. Okay? Kamuka ng mga ito, tong column nitong f of s na to, tsaka nitong column na ng f of s na to. Okay? Now, if you want to check whether you got the correct answer, ang gagawin mo is ila-Laplace transform mo ito. Tapos, isi-simplify mo yung result and then check mo kung magiging pareho dito. So, sige, i-check natin para lang makita ninyo. So, ila-Laplace transform natin itong right side of the equation. We have the Laplace transform of 1 minus 3t plus 2t squared. Let's check if ang result is same lang dito. So, first Laplace of 1 is 1 over s minus 3 times Laplace of t is 1 over s squared plus 2 times the Laplace transform of t squared is 2 factorial over s raised to n plus 1. Okay? Or sorry, 2 plus 1. S raised to 2 plus 1. Ayan. So, simplifying further, you have 1 over s minus 3 over s squared plus, so ito ginamit ko yung n factorial, kung maalala ninyo, over s raised to n plus 1. Okay? Where n is the exponent of t. Okay, so we have 2 times 2 factorial is 4. Okay, 4 all over s cubed. Yan. Ngayon, let's get the LCD. So the LCD is s cubed. The least common denominator is s cubed. So we have s cubed divided by s is s squared times 1. So you have s squared. Minus s cubed divided by s squared is s times 3. So you have 3s. Plus s cubed divided by s cubed is 1 times 4. So you have 4. So kung mapapansin nyo, you have here s cubed minus 3s plus 4. So same lang sila. Ito is just the same with this one. So ibig sabihin, we got the correct answer. Okay, so that is how you are going to check it. Just like nung nag-integral kayo. Pag nag-integral kayo ng function, if you want to check whether you got the correct answer or not, you divide the result, di ba? If the answer is, or after divide daw, you derive ka pa sana. After you derive the answer, compare mo yung na-derive mong mong solution doon sa sa pangalan nito sa in-integrate mong equation. Okay? If they are the same, so you got the correct answer. Just like in here. Okay? So, yun guys that's one way to check whether you got the correct answer or not. Kung hindi yan equal, then ibig sabihin may mali sa solution mo. Or, maaari namang tama yung solution mo, pero sa pag-Laplace mo ay mali ka. So, just be careful. Okay? Check mo din. Dapat, as much as possible, pag ginamit mo tong way na to check, make sure na tama yung Laplace mo at pag-simplify mo ng equation mo. Okay? So next, we have another example here. We have the determine the Laplace transform. Ano lang natin. So we have determined the inverse Laplace transform of 12 over s minus 5 minus 2s over s squared plus 49. So, i-ganon natin dun sa solution para makita, ay sa formulas. So, itong 12 over, or I mean, ito, pwede natin paghiwalayin, di ba? I-arrange natin siya using linearity theorem. So you factor out the constant and then you now multiply it by the inverse Laplace transform of 1 over s minus 5. So ito yung constant natin. And then dito, meron tayong constant na 2 and then finactor out natin by, of course, taking note of the operation. We have minus here, so dapat minus pa rin dito. And then you have the inverse Laplace transform of s over s squared plus 49. Or take note that this one is simply equal to s squared plus 7 squared. Yan. So, ito, at saka ito, tignan mo kung asan yung kamukha niya dito. So, obviously, yung unang term ay ito yung kamukha niya, where a is equal to 5. Ba? Where a is equal to 5. And then, ito naman, itong s over s squared plus 7 squared, ang kamukha niya ay ito. Ito pala. Ito number 6. Okay, itong equation number 6. So we have s over s squared plus a squared where a is equal to 7. Okay, where a is equal to 7. So we have therefore 12 times the inverse Laplace of this one is e raised to 80 where a is 5. Ito, ang ano nito is e raised to 80 where a is 5. Ito naman ay, ito lang, yung nasa loob lang ng braces. We have cosine 80, where a is equal to 7. So, kaya naman, meron tayo ditong 12 times the inverse Laplace transform of this one is e raised to 5t minus 2 times the inverse Laplace of this one is cosine 70. Okay? So, we now have therefore the final answer. So, nire-write ko lang. We have 12e raised to 5t minus 2 cosine 7t. Okay? So, ganun lang po guys. Okay? Again, if you want to check whether you got the correct answer or not, you just need to get the Laplace transform of this one. Okay? So, that's it. Let's now have another one. Okay, so let's have also number 3, example number 3. So determine the inverse Laplace transform of 5 over s raised to 7 plus 7 over s minus 2. So again, linearity theorem, you have 5 times the inverse Laplace transform of 1 over s raised to 7 plus 7 times the inverse Laplace of 1 over s minus 2. So itong 1 over s raised to 7 is, yan yung sa 1 over s raised to m. Okay, ito namang 1 over s minus 2 is yan ulit, yan naman yung kay 1 over s minus a. Okay, so ito yung mga formulas na yon. Ito, number 3 and number 2. Okay, so we have corresponding formula for this one, and that is t raised to 7 minus 1 over the quantity of 7 minus 1 factorial. And then, we also have here, okay, so ito, in-inverse Laplace transform na natin. Since madali lang, okay, actually pareho pala, na inverse Laplace transform na natin gamit yung mga formulas. Okay, corresponding this one. So, we have, therefore, 7 minus 1 factorial is, I think, what's the equivalent of 7 minus 1 factorial? That's 720. So 5 divided by 720 is 1 over 144. Okay? Times t raised to 6. Okay? And then plus 7e raised to 2t. So, ganun lang. No? So, you just need to apply these formulas na meron tayo dito. So, parang pagmumukhain mo lang yung equation mo ng ganito. Itong column na to, sorry, itong column nitong f of s at saka column nitong f of s dito. Okay? Next. Okay, so we also have number 4. So we have 2s minus 3 over s squared plus 1. So again, applying linearity theorem, di ba pwede natin pagkiwalayin to? Itong si 2s minus 3 over s squared plus 1, pwede natin gawing 2s over s squared plus 1, tapos minus 3 over s squared plus 1. So kapag pinaghiwalay natin yun, pwede ulit natin siyang applyan ng linearity theorem. So, meron tayo ditong 2 times, di ba, ito, dito, 2 times yung naiwan, s over s squared plus 1, minus 3, 3 times the inverse Laplace of 1 over s squared plus 1. Okay? So, yun, parang finactor out ko lang para itong dalawang to, ito, at saka ito ay makikita ko dito sa formula natin. So actually, yun ay ito, yung isa is ito, itong number 6, tapos yung isa naman is itong number 5. Yung may 1 over s squared plus a squared. Where a is simply equal to 1. Okay? Ang a natin ay equal to 1. Kaya naman, you now have 2 times ang inverse Laplace nito ay cosine at. Where, since a is 1, you have cosine t. And then we have minus 3 times 1 over a. Diba? The formula there is 1 over a times sine 80. And since a is equal to 1, you have 1 over 1 sine 1t. Or you now have 2 cosine t minus 3 cosine t. 3 sine t ka ko sana. Okay, minus 3 sine t. Okay, so pwede mo ulit yan i-check. O sige, we try to check this one if we got the correct answer. So the Laplace transform of 2 cosine t is 2 times s over s squared plus 1 minus the Laplace transform of sine t is 3 times 1 over s squared plus 1. Yan. So simplifying further by getting the LCD since they both have the same denominator. So the LCD is simply equal to s squared plus 1 and then simply copy the numerator. So 2s minus 3. So yun lang. Ang simple. Diba? So 2s minus 3 over s squared plus 1. So correct. Okay?